Thank you so much. On behalf of the Sioux City Journal, our presenting sponsor St. Luke's Unity Point Health, and everybody, thank you for all you do. We do not say thank you often enough. It has been a very tough period of time. The last 3 years, extremely difficult, and our gratitude is there for every one of you because we know how hard you work. This is a very, very small gesture on our part, on the part of the people who are sponsoring this, on the public's part. But know that you are felt. You are making a difference in all of our lives. So thank you so much. Well, now, are you ready? Let's present our class of 2023. Our first recipient is Susan Becker. She represents CNOS, and she has been in the nursing profession for more than 30 years. And like you, she found the COVID pandemic an extremely trying period in her career. She has had many mentors in her business and got a brush with history when she helped take care of Captain Al Haynes, the pilot of United Airlines Flight 232. Please welcome Susan Becker. Congratulations. How exciting is this, or what?
It's very exciting. Yes.
So we have honorees tonight who are early on in their careers. What happens in all those other years? What do you learn from all of those years?
Experience.
Has it changed a lot?
Yes, it has. It has changed drastically. Back in the day, we came from books, scheduling books. We didn't have computers. We had carts that we pushed with charts to round with physicians. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember that, but yes, we did. We had ashtrays at the end of our stalls for a few of the orthopods, a few of the physicians that would come, and they would put out their cigarette or cigar before they would round. Yes, it has changed drastically over the several decades, from going from having an open book and charting to computers to prior authorizations to sometimes I feel that leads to less patient care, actually, in my book.
How do patients change then over that period of time? Are they smarter about healthcare, or?
Some are very proactive, and they research things before they even get to our office, and they look up diagnosis and treatments, and sometimes they come in with suggestions or options even to present to the physicians.
I see that a lot of computerization has happened, a lot of change with that. Is that difficult to keep up with?
Yes, at my age, yes, it is.
Is it difficult working with doctors who are younger?
They're very computer savvy, much more than I am, that's for sure.
Do you see the day when we won't need nurses? Do you think that'll ever come?
No.
Because?
Compassion, caring, you need that bedside manner. You need that hand-holding.
What are you like as a patient?
I think of myself as a fairly good patient. I am one that I do ask a lot of questions, though. Whether it be a nurse, an MA, a physician, just because I'm proactive about my own health.
Who do you say thank you to for the career that you've had? Is there somebody in your life, in your family, in your business that you say, this person made a difference, this person is somebody who really deserves a piece of the glory?
Actually, I have several, but the main one that comes to mind is technically my boss, Dr. Case, if any of you know him. I remember when I was working for him as a secretary for the first couple of years, I decided to go to nursing school, and they supported me and said, but you'll have to stay with the company for 3 years if we help pay. I said, okay, and here I am 35 years later. And I remember the day I got my nursing license, and I brought it in, and I said, look, Dr. Case, I got my nursing license. And all he said was, Grasshopper, that's only a license to learn. Stick with me.
Oh,
and I did.
that is so sweet.
Thank you.
Do you regret making this decision, or do you say, nope, nursing has been the right choice?
Nursing has been the right choice. I knew it from little on. I wanted to be in the medical profession.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Here, when anybody says anything to you and they question what your decisions are, you just show them this, and they'll be really thrilled.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Susan Becker from CNOS. Our second honoree is Sarah Kelly from Unity Point Health St. Luke's, who has been in the profession for 15 years. Like Susan, she too found COVID-19 challenging, particularly since it separated patients from their loved ones. Luckily, her patients were in the care of someone who was there for them when others couldn't be. Please welcome Sarah Kelly. Talk about those COVID days, Chris. What was that like?
It was terrible. So I worked long-term care and hospital role during COVID. Long-term care, we had to keep out all the family members and take away their loved ones. And working with dementia patients, that was just heartbreaking because we took their lifelines away.
So how did you replace that? Did you become even closer to the patient? You know, they always say, don't come close to the patients. It's not a good thing. But did you get closer to them?
Absolutely. We were definitely the patient's voice. We were their family members. I did so many phone calls with FaceTime on my personal phone with families, with the residents, just to continue having those connections. I started working at the nursing home in Mapleton, Iowa when I was just like 14. Started in the kitchen, fell in love with my residents. Worked in the dietary office, worked at the front desk, and they were like, why don't you be a CNA? Okay, I'll be a CNA. So I went to training, got my certified nurse's assistant, and then when I was in that, my director of nursing at the time was like, you need to be a nurse. Why aren't you going to nurses training? And my administrator at the time too was very supportive, and my family. So it was like, I love the people. I thought I was going to be a vet, and fell in love
nursing,
with yeah,
right?
And fell in love with the people, and so on I went.
How does it feel now when we can kind of exhale a bit and hopefully get back to normal? Do you feel a difference?
I wait for the other shoe to drop.
Oh, you're always a little cautious,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, you hear things and you're like, oh, is it coming?
What was the best advice anybody ever gave you in nursing?
Keep going.
When you are in like a very tense situation or an emergency situation, what is that, what goes through your mind? What is the, I mean, are there, I must do this step, then I must do that step, and I must do this? Is it like that?
So it depends on what type of situation I'm in. If I'm in the back of an ambulance or if I'm in the ER and we have time to prepare on the way to the scene, or in the ER when I know that patient's coming in, I have like a mental checklist. Like, okay, do I have all my supplies? Who's where? Who's going to be doing what? And get everything ready. Unfortunately, in the ER, there's a lot of times where you just have like, oh, okay. And it's usually just that deep breath and the brain turns on and you get A, B, C, D done. And then it's like, wow, we did that.
Where do you see the future? Where do you look ahead and you say, 15 years from now, what will I be doing?
I'll still be at nursing.
And why?
I just love taking care of people. I love knowing I make a difference. I like to get home at the end of the day and know that I did have a positive effect on somebody.
What is rewarding for you about nursing?
The people. The people. There's been so many people that have thanked me after taking care of them, or even the next day they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And just knowing that I helped them when they were in need or their worst day.
And you as a patient?
I'm a good patient, I think. I try very hard to be understanding. I love teaching people. So I always just try to remember that I was a baby nurse once too, and be very supportive of the people taking care of me.
Who would you thank if you could thank individuals for your path in nursing? Is there somebody that comes to mind right away?
My mom was very supportive, helped me through homework. My husband, same way in college and through my master's. I don't know how many papers he had to read. He loved every one of them.
Very good. Very good. Is there more learning left? Do you say?
Absolutely. Every day. Every single day. I am constantly looking things up. There's a new diagnosis, new treatment, new medication, just new procedures. So.
And if you could just kind of wave a wand and say, this is what nursing is going to be for somebody, what would you tell them? What would you say this profession is?
It's so rewarding, and there's an opportunity in all aspects. So you can go into nursing and become a leader. You can become a teacher. You can work at the bedside. There's so many levels.
There's a place for
Yes, there's a place for
everybody in
everyone.
nursing.
And if you don't, I always tell people, I hire new employees all the time, and when I get them, I always tell them, just because you don't like an area, don't give up, because there's somewhere else to try.
Thank you so much. I guess you can have one too. And you can let everybody know that you're wonderful. Thank you so much. Our third honoree has something in common with me, if you can believe this. When we were children, we both fell in love with one book. The book was called, in my case, Dr. Dan the Bandage Man. And I love this book. Did anybody else ever read it? Did you ever see this book? It came with Band-Aids. And I must have had 4 copies of this thing just because I wanted the Band-Aids. And I would put Band-Aids on everything. You had it too, right? You also had the Nurse Nancy one as well, which had a lot, didn't they have Band-Aids in that too? But I didn't want to, I was Dr. Dan, so there you go. But you were interested in this profession since you were a child. And I'm just curious about that because when you start out in the profession, maybe you change your path. But she was a junior aide, she became a CNA, and then a CMA, then an RN, a BSN, and an MSN.
I'm still in school.
Still in school? How are the
School,
grades?
not-
Okay.
4.0.
Okay.
Yeah.
So please welcome Mindy Knudsen from Sunrise Retirement Community. Have a Band-Aid, right? That's all you get is a Band-Aid. Okay, sit down.
Oh, that's
No,
okay.
no. But tell me about those beginning days. What was that?
Like when I was a child?
When you were a kid and you said, I want to do this, because you know how it is. People look at you like you're
Yeah.
strange when
Yeah.
you say, this is what the career I want to do, and you're what, 10?
Yeah, kind of. Well, my sister and I both read the books. They actually were my dad's, who's here tonight. So the Band-Aids were long gone by the time we got to read them. So my grandma would graciously get us stuff out of like the medicine cabinet. She'd get us Band-Aids and she'd get us gauze and whatever else. And we'd wrap each other up, wrap our teddy bears up, and just, play around with it. So we just fell in love with that. She'd give us Band-Aids and wraps, and we'd wrap each other and things like that. So we've always kind of been medical, I guess. And she ended up being a doctor, and her favorite book was Dr. Dan, and I liked Nurse Nancy, and I became a nurse. So it's kind of fitting.
Who do you say thank you to for something like this?
Oh my goodness, this award?
Yeah, because it
was-
singles you out.
Yeah, it was very appreciative and overwhelming. I was not expecting it at all. It was my team. I mean, they make me look good. I have an amazing team. We all work really well together. We bring out everyone's most strongest qualities, I think. And so if someone else has something that they're not as strong as, and I'm more strong at that, I will pick up that part, and a part I'm not as strong as, and someone else on the team is strong, they do that part. So, and we all work really well together. I think we're a really cohesive team. I've never truly worked on a team that is so dedicated to the same mission and goal, which is our residents. So that makes my job super easy. So, and everyone there, down to the CNAs, housekeeping, maintenance, everyone is there for our residents. So it really makes every day just a cakewalk.
And then when did it, you also though were, in high school, you were doing things then too, right?
I was a candy striper, yes.
Do they still exist?
I don't know. This was, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. That was in the 80s, the late 80s. I was a candy striper, so yeah.
I don't remember the 80s, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun. I actually did it was at Marion Health Center at the time. So I think it was every Friday we went, and it was fun.
And then what pushed you into the field?
Probably just loving to take care of people and knowing that I made a difference. Even as a junior aide, doing that kind of stuff, I made a difference. I'd make someone smile, they'd ask when I was coming, just the little things to make the residents happy.
You have a different situation than most of our recipients today. You're in a retirement community.
Yes.
And I know for a fact, because I have friends there, who were not able to talk to us. I could call on the phone, but they weren't savvy with iPads or FaceTime or
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff. So in essence, you became their friends and family.
Yep.
How did you deal with that?
So we just try to get out more and see the residents more. We also facilitated window visits. We made tents at the windows so the families could still come to the windows and see their loved ones. We made very wacky plexiglass boxes and things like that, just so we could facilitate more visits from their family and stuff. But we did a lot of hand holding. Instead of just 2 hand holds and 4 hugs that day, it might be 20 hugs and 18 hand holds. You never knew. So.
What is it like being in a retirement center?
Well, it's really rewarding because we get to have long-lasting connections with our patients, and we call them residents. We don't even call them patients because they're like our family, and we get to build upon those relationships. We get to know their family. We get to learn all the little fun details about their life and how they grew up and stuff, and we really make some good long connections which is, you know, at the hospital you make connections, but we really get to make some long-lasting, lifelong connections. So
What have you learned from them? What have they taught you?
the residents, that everything's going to be okay. We had some residents who survived the flu back in, I want to say it was like 1917, 1918. So they said, you guys are going to get through this. They were like kind of pep talking some of us at times. So that was really neat. We had a 106-year-old gal who had been through that, had the Spanish flu even. And so she, you know, they just kind of made us feel like we're going to get through this. No matter what happens, we're going to get through this. You guys are doing the best that you can. And we know you're trying to keep us safe. So that was awesome that they were kind of more our rock.
So are you ready to take the little trophy with you and show it all around?
I will.
Will you promise that you'll bring it to lunch tomorrow?
Okay.
I'd say bring it to dinner, but we have.
They're tired.
Yeah, we've got things to do. Lunch, we're all ready.
I will bring it.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
Our fourth honoree has been a caretaker for as long as she can remember. It started with younger cousins and moved to aging grandparents. The choice of careers was inevitable. Nursing, she says, is not a job where you can clock in and clock out. We take home the sorrow and the challenging days because we care. Please welcome Jennifer Pereira from Mercy One. Jennifer, what has this time been like for you?
Exciting. In such a short career, I have accomplished so much, and I couldn't be more humble and proud. But it doesn't start with me. There's so many people I can thank. Every colleague at Mercy One, every mentor I've had. It's amazing.
What didn't you expect to happen during this? I mean, COVID, yes, we didn't expect that. But are there other things where you go, oh, they didn't teach that one in school?
Everything. I mean, honestly, there's so much on a daily basis that we are learning, we're developing, we're growing, and I can take those days and then mentor nurses who are younger than me. I think during the midst of COVID, you really grew professionally and you learned a lot. I had the pleasure of working with so many veteran nurses and colleagues where you truly learned so much. And I worked with a lot of great mid-level providers where I felt as if they weren't just friends but family, and I could ask some questions. I truly am so thankful for working for Mercy. There wasn't one time we were short on anything. They were there supportive and truly a family.
And why nursing? Why didn't you choose another profession?
Since I was little, I have always had that nurturing, caring personality. I cared for all the little cousins in my family. I cared for my aging grandparents, and it was always a passion.
And are you a good patient or are you a bad patient?
I'm a work in progress.
How do you deal with somebody like me who's just real trouble? Have you had any of those, or is it just, yeah, you have? How do you deal with them?
Laughter, jokes, relating. I mean, we're all human, and I joke all the time with my patients, and I can level with them and understand. You know, I have been there. I have suffered a great deal of loss in my short life, but I'm human, and I have the same feelings and emotions that you hold too.
Who do you look to and say, you know, thank you, that really meant something?
Every single veteran nurse that helped me, helped shape me, helped form me. I've had so many great mentors over the time, and my patients. I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them.
Here, I have a little something for you to share. I hope tomorrow you bring it to work.
I will.
And you let everybody know. Congratulations. Our fifth nominee got her inspiration for nursing when she was in a church youth group. That taught her the importance of giving back to others and how she felt when she was in a helping capacity. She says COVID protocols are still being determined and can vary. As a result, you learn something new every day. Please welcome Michaela Yule from CNOS. So, what did you learn today?
I learned that my dad remembers stories from when I was 10.
And they never forget, do they, right?
And he'll even tell the doctor I work for, Dr. P.
And what were you like at 10?
I was helping him butcher a deer, and that's kind of what started my love of healthcare
Really?
and surgery.
So surgery, you got an early start on surgery.
You're
What's
always
the
learning.
hardest part of nursing?
The hardest part is maybe never seeing your patients again, not necessarily because they pass away, but because they graduated from having surgery and now they're dismissed from your care because they're better. And you might never see them again, or you might see them on the street somewhere, at a restaurant, or out shopping, and
And
then
then-
they always recognize you.
And then you wonder, how do I know this person,
Yes.
right? It's
Oh my
one of those
gosh.
things. What was the COVID period like for you?
Well, I worked in the hospital in surgery during COVID, and I'd never really been the typical floor nurse. So when the surgery department nurses were asked to go to the floor to help out, it was a little nerve-wracking, a little bit of, what am I going to get thrown into? Am I going to remember what I learned in nursing school to apply it to now being a floor nurse? But you jump right back in. You remember how to start an IV. You remember dosages of meds that you haven't even used in 5-10 years. You never know. You remember.
Is that
Comes
the
back.
good part of COVID? Is that it tested us in terms of how much we really do know?
I think it did, yes. It tested us on precautions that we had to use, tested us on bedside manner and getting to really sit down and know your patients and spend quality time with them when you can, because they didn't have their family there.
Who has been most supportive for you?
My parents and my husband, for sure. They've supported me from getting my CNA in high school to going to nursing school and getting my ASN, and then continuing on to my BSN online classes while working full time.
Now, who is going to be the first person that you show this trophy to?
My husband at my table.
Will he get to touch it?
Probably not,
No, don't touch it because it does get fingerprints on it and we don't want to have that, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, you already got your fingerprints
I
on it.
did. Well, thank you. Congratulations. The class of 2023. On behalf of the Sioux City Journal and all of our sponsors, thank you so much for being a part of this.